Hey y'all, my name is Katie and this is my husband Matt, if you don't already know us, and welcome to my channel. Okay, so my last video I talked about why I wouldn't work undercover with the police. At the part now where, about the cops raiding my apartment, and at this point, I had decided I wanted to get a handful of sugar daddies, so
Those
to
are some good
speak.
candies. Kind of died out there.
So I had figured out if I had gotten X amount of sugar daddies every week and gotten an allowance every week that I would be able to live the high life in my eyes. So I was able to start doing that, and I decided I wanted to get my own apartment. I was able to buy my own car. I actually had two cars at the time when we met. Well, I wrecked one.
Yeah.
And I was buying furniture and things to furnish an apartment because up until this point I had been living in weekly stays. I showed you a few of them.
You did. We drove past it. Going to Walmart.
Yeah.
Was it? It was Walmart.
One of them, yeah, one of them's by Walmart. Anyway, um, so at this point,
I'm not wearing pants. So at this point.
so at this point, I had decided I wanted to get into a maintenance program. I had started working a real job in insurance, and I wanted to move on to the next phase of my life, and I knew I couldn't take my addiction with me. So I get into this maintenance program when I started working for the insurance company. And at first I was doing okay, and the holidays started coming up, and I was doing all that alone, and it started to really weigh on me. So the holidays are coming around, and I wanted to be sober and be with my family, but I wasn't sober when I was with my family. I did well pretending to be, but I just couldn't seem to hack it. So I was kind of teetering the line of working the program, but kind of working it for everybody else and not for myself. So yeah, I relapsed around Christmas.
This is the season.
So I relapsed around Christmas, and I pretended to be sober around my family, even though I really wasn't. And so the shame of that really weighed on me and made it hard for me to want to get sober again. I just wanted to get high to cover up all the shame I was feeling. And I went on vacation after Christmas to Florida. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Florida. I had contacted the dope man and it was like, yes, I'm going to go on vacation. Like, let's go. I drove all the way to Florida, got there. It was really late at night. It was a condo, and I went to sleep. Woke up, spent the day at the beach, enjoyed it. And that evening, I realized that I had done so much dope in one day that I could not do the rest of my days of my vacation, that I had to go home or take my chances trying to find dope in Florida where I knew nobody.
Why'd you do it all in one day?
Because I realized then that I could not control my addiction. My addiction controlled me. That was when the realization of that finally hit me. So I used all the dope that day, and that night I decided that I was canceling the rest of my trip and going home because when my addiction calls, I come any means necessary. I had no control of it, and I had in my head that I was going to be able to live this life and get an apartment and get brand new furniture and have a few cars and all these nice things so I could show to everybody that I was doing well. I wasn't a homeless heroin addict anymore. I had a good job and, so on and so forth. When I was fooling everyone else, so much so that I was even fooling myself up until this point. Okay, so I go back home, and this is when I get back on a maintenance program. This is when I end up getting back on Suboxone, and I had taken the Suboxone too early again and went through precipitated withdrawal. And that was when I was having a full-blown breakdown. I told you I was in the shower, and my friend was there sitting outside of the bathroom and just talking to me through the door, trying to help me cope with it because I really just wanted to die. I felt like I was never going to be sober, that it just wasn't in the cards for me. So,
Like you had extinguished every option.
yeah, at this point. Now, this is like my fourth time trying to recover
So why does Suboxone make you go into withdrawal? It's supposed to help.
because I explained this in my other videos, but for sake of the people who haven't seen it, I'll explain it here. When you're a heroin addict, everyone has opiate receptors in their brain. And what Suboxone is made to do is you have the two receptors, and when you get high, it fills your receptors with opiates. And it overflows and it builds up, and that's how you build a tolerance to opiates. Well, when you take Suboxone, what it's supposed to do is once your receptors are empty, it fills it with bupe, which is basically synthetic opiate. It tricks your brain into thinking that it has that, even though it doesn't. But if you take it too early, you're supposed to wait until you withdraw completely and your receptors are empty. So it can fill it with bupe and make you feel better, and you can get on the maintenance of it and train your body to take on this buprenorphine.
You gotta wait till after your withdrawal again?
Exactly.
The whole thing. Whole days of bagging.
No, not days of. You have to wait until you are in full-blown withdrawal.
Oh, they're saying after you withdraw.
No. So when you're in full-blown withdrawal, that's when you take a Suboxone, and that's when it fills your opiates with receptors with bupe and makes your brain think that you're okay, and it keeps it from going into withdrawal.
Oh, okay.
But if you take it too soon, it will kick the opiates out of your receptors, and as it tries to fill it with bupe, it won't work because it sends your brain into like a panic. It's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you just took all that away from me. And no matter how much you do, trust me, I've tried it, doing a million Suboxones at the time, it will not work. It just sends your brain into a panic. And the way it feels is just the worst pain. I mean, I've told you, it is absolutely the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life. And I've experienced some shit.
Yeah.
So my friend's sitting outside the bathroom trying to keep me from killing myself, and I remember laying on the couch all night long just talking about how I wanted to kill myself and how I thought I would never get sober. Yeah, and I was just done with it. So, he helped me and was just like, until you take your last breath, you don't give up. He was a recovered addict. So he was really, really good to me and really trying to help me. I don't use a fake name for him. That's why I just call him my friend. After that night, I relapsed again because, as I said, that's the only thing that takes away precipitated withdrawal. And I had gotten to another program. 2 weeks later. I had to wait 2 weeks. And I started working that program, and it just worked better for me. I started a different brand of Subsolve, and it worked better for me. I didn't really like it. I don't know if it didn't really help me, or if I had just been so beaten down that I was just kind of over the whole situation at that point in time. I'm not sure. But I was doing okay on that and working, and I still had, the men giving me my allowance every week, and I got to where I was barely having to see them. Like, all those money apps made it easy for me to not have to see any of them. I was like, hey, you can just send it to me. Right. So I didn't have to. I really had gotten to where I was like living the life. I barely had to deal with them and talk to them. I didn't see them. And I was working, and everybody thought I was sober and I was fine, and I had vehicles and had decent things.
What was it like doing appointments while you were high?
Doing appointments?
Did you ever do appointments while you were on here?
Oh my gosh, you're talking about like insurance.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I never asked them before.
I remember like literally falling asleep in appointments before.
Did they notice?
Oh, yeah.
They're like, hey,
You're like,
hey, do you need
yeah.
this insurance? Are you gonna pass away my house? I can't cover
No.
that. I think I killed you.
No. No, but it was like, you're just exhausted, aren't you? I'm like, yeah, oh my gosh, I've been running
I'm
around
definitely
all
not on
day.
heroin.
No,
Nope.
definitely have not been shooting us. That's not what that is.
I just
But I had lost some money being high for sure. So after this, I ended up connecting with an old friend of mine. What are we gonna call him?
call him Gilbert.
So anyway, I ended up catching up with my old friend Gilbert. And quite honestly, when I first like reconnected with him, I knew that he had some money, or so I thought. And I had decided that I could like play him into, my handful of sugar daddies that were already giving me money. I was like, well, I could just play him into that same category.
Toss
You know
him in
what I
the pit
mean?
with the rest of them.
Yep. But we ended up hanging out a little bit. I knew because I knew him from my previous life and not what I was doing now. I knew I was gonna have to like play it up, and I was. It was working. It took a little bit longer than I thought, and then by the time he had bit the bullet and given me some money, I really didn't even want it anymore. I was like, oh God, like
That guy sucked.
it
Still
just,
sucks.
yeah, it was a lot to deal with. Also, as I'm like working this maintenance program and I thought I had it all figured out, he partied every weekend. Like, I mean, I thought me doing heroin was something. I mean, this man, every weekend, it was a new drug, and we were going out from Friday until damn Monday morning. And that's what we did all weekend. And if his kids weren't there during the week, he would party all week long.
I don't think you would care. Sadly, he's one of those types.
Sadly, not really, but he didn't like do the hard drugs or whatever. He would still go out drinking, and like I would stay there with his kids.
Oh, I also know how he neglected the fuck out of them. Left them home alone, and they're not even old enough.
Yeah, I'm not even 10 years old. I would always go over there to take care of his kids. But this isn't about that. So as time goes on, I'm partying with him every weekend. And I was finally like, I can't do this anymore. Like I was thinking like, oh, like, he has a company, he has decent money, I guess, and he owned several houses and this, that, and the third. I thought that I could kind of have my cake and eat it too, so to speak. Like I could still get high and do my thing and have the better things in life or a normal life, I guess. But then I quickly realized that that was not normal, and I started to get really unhappy in the situation because of everything. I mean, he was just not one to tie down. He was going to party and do his own thing. And I was wanting to get sober and do something different, but constantly, drugs were constantly in my face. Like, it didn't matter what I wanted because,
He was pretty forceful about it too, wasn't
yeah, he was forceful about it, in one incident for sure. But,
he? If you're a man watching this, don't be a piece of shit. It's pretty
yeah,
easy to do. Don't be terrible to women,
yeah,
or someone might punch you in your face,
yeah.
like me. That
Don't be a
easy.
piece of shit. Be good. Y'all don't know, Matt's a semi-feminist.
I'm not gonna label myself anything. I just believe women get treated terribly.
But I know.
I know.
So I remember I felt like, I didn't have control over my addiction. I already didn't have control over it. I don't know how to say no to drugs, and drugs are in my face every other day, especially on the weekend. So say to no to drugs, kids.
Or Krampus will come on Christmas and take you away from your family.
Krampus?
Krampus.
Who's Krampus?
Krampus.
Krampus.
He's the evil Santa Claus.
Oh,
He's like a goat demon thing that takes you on Christmas and beats your ass for being bad.
that's right. He's coming on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
That's a terrible thing to say to children.
We support this message.
I wrecked my car. I didn't say I wrecked my car.
The girl?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was getting high so much, and I was got to the point where I was so fucked up all the time, and he was fucked up too. So it became the new normal, and I wrecked my car, and I seriously injured myself. So when this came about and everything, and I realized, like, we're getting fucked up all the time. I don't know how to say no to drugs. They're constantly in my face. I couldn't work the program if I wanted to. You know, it was just so ridiculous. So I finally was like, you know what? I'm done. I can't do this. I would rather be by myself and miserable and get high alone than do this.
You know, I was waiting for.
No idea. I think this is where I had really hit my rock bottom. I knew that I had had enough. If this was as good as my life was going to get, now I'm alone. You know, I have all the money that I could possibly need. He's acting like he's tired when he sleeps so much later than I do.
Well, I stay up later because I'm like, hey, let's go to bed. You're like, no, I don't want to go to bed.
I
I want to lay in your lap where
love.
you sure that you get up, I'll kill you. I'm like, all right, okay, shit. 1 o'clock it is.
I think I really hit my rock bottom. I had gotten to where I had all the money I needed. You know, I had a job to cover up all the money that I had coming in. I had a decent apartment with, you know, yeah, with decent furniture and everything. So anyway, I had really hit my rock bottom. I decided if this is as good as it gets, you know, I have all the money I need. I'm never dope sick. I can pretend to be in a program. I'm going to NA meetings that I'm not even sober. Um, all this stuff. I was like, if this is as good as it gets for me, I don't want any part of it anymore. I remember on my birthday hitting that realization because you know I had all the money that I could possibly need and I could get all the dope I could possibly want. And on my birthday, I realized how lonely my life truly was. That I really didn't have anybody. I couldn't share my life with anybody because I was living a lie. Yeah, I realized that I had hit rock bottom. I'd never been more sad than I was on my birthday.
And then the day after her birthday, I messaged
Yeah. I got a message on Facebook and it was Matt saying happy belated birthday. But you know, you had messaged me before this and I responded back to you and you never said anything.
So I didn't see that she had responded to me. And I guess I had opened it and then didn't realize it.
Hmm.
So like a few days, I think it was like 5 days close to it.
Yeah, it was like almost a week.
Yeah, I was going back to see if she had even read my message, and sure enough, she had said something to me, and I had no idea. I was like, "Fuck, this beautiful woman's talking to me."
He blew it.
I know, so I was like, "Shit," texting her back real fast, and
Hmm.
then, lo and behold, she responded,
Yeah,
and we just talked
yeah.
like normal people. I didn't flirt with her or compliment her appearance or be inappropriate like some of you people on the internet.
Right, yeah,
And
no, and I was really attracted to that because, you know, I had just came from a life of, you know, sugar daddies and escorting and all those things. So that was very attractive to me that he didn't come at me like, oh, hey, beautiful, da 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 da. And
I
he
wanted
just
to,
talked.
but I was like, "Don't be stupid, man. Don't be stupid."
He just talked to me like a normal person. And I really appreciated that.
That's the thing, we got to know each other before we went on a date. A lot of
Hmm.
people don't do that, and that's really mess up.
Right.
So we got to like know each other.
No, I remember we really just clicked. And I know that sounds so cliche, but we did. I mean, we were the best of friends immediately. And then you asked me on a date. And I remember I contacted my male best friend. He's been my friend for 15 years, I think. I haven't named him. I don't think I'm going to because he's not really part of the
Oh,
story.
Scooter.
Scooter. He's going to be like, fuck both of you. I called Scooter and
I love that so much.
he's going to go knock on the door. Y'all are evicted.
Right. Leave all your stuff. Pay it off, right?
So I called him and was like, "Hey, do you know Matt?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, like I go to the gym with him." Da 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 da. I was like, "Okay," because he asked me on a date, And he was like all for it. He's like, oh yeah, do it. And this like surprised me because, mind you, I've been friends with him for 15 years and he has never approved of anybody that I've ever even breathed in their direction.
You can see why.
In this whole time. No. But
Everybody for me sucked.
ditto.
Yeah, very ditto.
I was excited and I told him, I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And as he scheduled the date like weeks in advance.
I had work and I didn't want to jump the gun. If I would have showed up there and not said a single word because I was too nervous the whole day, you probably would have talked to me anymore.
True. That's true. But, you know, I just thought 2 weeks was a long time to wait for a date. But I don't know, I guess it had been so long since I'd been on a real date that I
Shit,
mean,
me too. It'd been the last time I had gone out with somebody and done anything. Yeah.
if I wasn't paid, I wasn't going. So, because he scheduled it so far in advance, I thought, well, he's not really coming. And I was just so like in my own world and depressed. And I was trying to get sober, but I just couldn't. The morning of our date, and I got called into work. I was covering for someone. So I did. I left and went to cover for them, and it was early in the morning. So, because I'm an addict, I woke up and I did everything I had and told myself, well, when I get off work, I'll get with the dope man. Matt starts texting me and he's like, hey, I'm about picking up my rental car and I'm about to be headed that way. I remember you ended up texting me, telling me you couldn't get the rental car. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, it's fine. And then you were like, I'm still coming. I'm going to drive my car. And you were complaining about having to take your car on the day. And I was like, no, it's totally cool. We'll take my car. And then that's when I knew, like, oh shit, he's actually coming. But to give you a perspective, another reason why I didn't think you would show up is because we lived an hour and a half away from each other, and that's minus traffic. So 2 hours probably for him to get to me.
I never felt like that. I was so excited. I was so excited. Also, I got there too fast. How was it?
Right. You got there that fast to do what?
Got there too fast to do. Oh, I got there too fast. I had to wait for 2 hours because this beautiful, hardworking woman decided to take 2 appointments in the morning because she thought I wasn't going to show up.
But I canceled one of them so I could get some dope so I wasn't sick.
Perfect excuse. I guess there's some heroin if I go date this guy.
Oh, no, it wasn't like that.
I forgot to mention that when I was messaging her originally for the date that I made very clear that I didn't want to drink. And
I told you I didn't want to drink either.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That was important.
Yeah. Oh, because I didn't say, oh, I don't like to drink, but I'm a heroin addict.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a difference.
There is.
I can't just go to a heroin bar.
Heroin bar?
Heroin
bar.
I don't shit about drugs. I've only drank.
He made it very clear that he didn't want to drink on our date, and I did too. And because I was trying to get sober and I really wanted to be sober, I did mean that. I didn't want to drink. I didn't, and especially what I just went through with the guy I was hanging out with months before you, I was like, no, I didn't. I was so happy that you didn't want.
But everybody goes to bars and goes eat dinner, goes to a movie. I was like, fuck that, I'm gonna walk. Let's go do something fun. Let's go be active. No one ever goes on an active date.
Right.
I even bought me with that about rock climbing, but that didn't happen.
Yeah. We went to the zoo and we actually had a lot of fun. You waited for me for 2 hours.
I remember I was just sitting there. What I experienced while waiting is that I was in this apartment complex and an hour and a half away from where I live, and I was just sitting there in front of the office and I didn't know where to go. I guess she was she was a little bit concerned about telling me which building is hers, which is fine.
Yeah, I didn't know you yet.
So I just sat there, and I remember I just leaned the seat back, and I let the AC blow, and I was just playing a game on my phone.
When I got back, I did a little bit of dope that I could, so I didn't want to be high, or I didn't want to be like nodding out on our date or on the way there, and I wanted to actually enjoy it, because I just like went to a whole vacation I couldn't enjoy and all that stuff. So
I've never actually seen anybody high on here once. I don't know what it's like.
Yeah, I would have just been asleep and drooling.
It's been a hell of a date. I was like, hey, We're at a red light. We missed the light twice. Wake up!
You'd be shifting the car
Wake
for
up!
me,
I did
trying to put my foot on the clutch.
toss you in the back seat, drive you back to your apartment, lay on your bed, like, I guess I'll go. I'll probably call an ambulance, honestly. I'd probably call an ambulance if you just fell out in the middle of driving. I'd be
And they'd be
like,
like, "Oh, she's high on heroin."
I mean, it'd be a hell of a conversation starter when you woke back up.
This is funny now, but it surely would not have been funny then.
Oh, I wouldn't know what I would have done.
Huh?
I wouldn't know how I would react. Like she's high on heroin, you said? This woman is high on heroin. My date is high on heroin? What are you talking about?
But we went on our date and we had so much fun. We really did.
It was the best one day. That date was the best I've ever had in my entire life. It was the best. God, we hung out for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
Eight
Like all
hours
day.
I've ever had with a complete stranger.
Yeah. And we laughed so much. We had
Oh my
so
God.
much fun.
I left with the 8-pack.
Seriously, I remember you saying, "Oh my God, I have never laughed this much."
I know.
And I was like, "Me too." I can't remember the last time I laughed like that.
It was a hell of a day.
We had so
And
much
all the
fun.
memories.
And then we got back to my apartment and you just gave me a hug and left. And I appreciated that so much from everything I had just come out of. I had, I thought if anybody ever, I was scared to even go on dates because I was scared that people would know who I was. And that they would try to get me to see them for free or sleep with them for free or whatever because of my past and whatever. So it was very just refreshing.
I remember you were like, when you had your alias name and you were telling me, I think this is later on. I think it was just only a few days afterwards. And
Yeah,
I was like, why
my
would they call you
alias.
that? You don't even look like that name. And
Right,
it's like you're testing me.
right.
Because I didn't know what you're talking about. I was like, no, I don't like that.
I know I remember like I lied and told him that it was just something people called me. It was a name that I got at work.
Ironically, it was. In a way.
In a way, it was not a lie to get it from work. Just not the kind of work he thought it was from. So yeah, we had a really good date, but I was still using, and you had no idea.
I've never been around people that use, so I have no idea what it looks like when
No
someone looks
idea.
on their
On
website.
our date, I wore long sleeves and pants,
I was looking, I was like, you're gonna be hot.
and it
By
was
the way,
warm.
when I first time she opened that door and I saw her, whoo, my heart was like, she didn't tell me she was thick. Man, whoo, you had all that booty.
No.
You're hiding the pictures.
Oh
She's
gosh.
way prettier in person. Like, she's
Oh.
gorgeous on this camera, but in person, you're in the real stuff.
Oh. You had no idea that I was a heroin addict, and I knew I wanted to keep seeing you,
If you were scared to tell me.
and I was terrified for him to find out.
Because I had told her I didn't want a relationship. I definitely didn't want to have sex or anything. I
He
want to
told
go
me he
out and have
didn't
fun.
want a relationship. He just wanted to go out and have fun, and
It was that day I realized how wrong I was. I had no idea what I wanted. She just changed my entire thought process. I remember I wrote a note in my phone when I was at work,
oh,
like right after our date. I said, Katie's worth it. Or Katie's, what is it? What I write? I still have the note somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah. And I wrote that May 6th, 2019. That was like right after our date.
I was still using, and we had just met, and you had no idea. And
But I was like immediately consumed.
so, yeah, I think we went on long enough. I think I'm going to end this one right here, y'all. So, stick around for how I got sober and how I told Matt that I was a heroin and an escort and had been through human trafficking and a
I'm gonna do
home
my best not to get
invasion.
angry. Not angry at her, but certain individuals I can't name.
Yeah, how I did all that and how we dealt with it. How we got where we are today. All right.
Bye.
Thanks for all the support. I love you guys. It's kind of awkward for some reason. I don't know.
Hey, I'm Katie. Welcome back to my channel.
No.
I got a very tight.
Stop. I have to edit that out.
Thanks, baby. I'm cool. You cool? Everything's cool.
All right.
Okay, it's not funny anymore. You come, I come, we all come together.
We really did.
It was the best one day of my. It was the best. Hold on, my brain just.
What's so funny, Matthew?
I.
A lot of bleep reels because I think it's going to be funny.
Bleepers?
Yes.
Flippers?
Boop!
I really said.
That'll
You
be
just
one
went,
of them. Hey,
Huh?
hey,
Say what?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.